All right, today is Friday. It's one of those rare days where I'm actually recording this on the day that the puzzle comes out and not the day after. So it's actually Friday, and it's time to do the Friday crossword on February 20th. This one is by Kate Hawkins, who is a longtime, very experienced constructor. And just looking at what I like, just what's available behind this panel here, it seems like there's going to be quite wide open grid. Those are always very exciting. So let's take a look at what we have here. A Disney character who sings in summer. In summer, what could this be? Disney character. It might not even be a princess. The only one I can think of is probably Maui, maybe, or a summer kind of beachy things. Luca is a movie that I haven't seen, but it could be Luca. Seller's shorthand for I'm willing to haggle. I don't know what this is. Let's just go on. Not WCs. I think this is gonna be lose or labs, but I'm gonna go with lose for now because it probably is. WC is a British word typically. One's always grinding at their job. Um, Factory workers? I don't know. Um, Product code used in inventory management. I think it's an SKU. I don't know what it stands for. Cholesterol lowering drug is a statin. And the first female mayor of Los Angeles, blank Bass, I don't know. Customer in tech speak is a user. Pleasant chill in the air. I don't know. Baylor of NBA fame, don't know. Let's see what else I know. Not Nahuatl speaker. Um, Aztec, perhaps? It sounds like one of those. It was either Incan or Aztec. If it's Incan, then become aged. Perhaps it is Incan. I'm gonna go with that. To come. In store later. Something happens later. It could also be Mayan, Incan, Aztec. So it's one of those Mesoamerican tribes, I believe. Not tribes. They had large civilizations. Relax. It's probably not Incan then. I don't believe a word for relax would end in an A. Let's see. Manages could be gets by. I'm just gonna go with that now. Word with bird or leave. Early bird, early leave. Then what is this? Manages. Uh, don't know. To connect. Ropes in. Early leave might not be the right word. I don't think it actually is. Let it stand. As is, perhaps. Don't know. I smell trouble. Uh-oh, perhaps. Valuable deposits. What could be a valuable deposit? Well, a deposit could be a lode, LODE, load. Some kind of ore vein. Valuable deposits, surely as an S at the end. Binges. Uh, Splurges. Binges. Gouges, maybe? Gouges oneself. Things made by toddlers and directors. So another S here. Lil something. Lil something is another is a word for tykes. Lil uns maybe. I was thinking tyke. I got it confused with trike, the tricycle, but a tyke is a lil one. Yeah, let's go with that. Let's see, something bunny. Could be Lola Bunny, because what else is a Bugs Bunny? Probably not debuted in Space Jam. I think Lola was probably a debut there. A fix. Could be a snag, maybe, like a sort of hiccup in the road. Uh, it could be a lot of things. To fix could be to rig, it could be to mend. Shady dealers. Probably another S at the end here. And I'm not too sure about gouges, to be honest. A state bird found in only a single state. Could be found in a single state. Perhaps it's Nene because um, there's very clearly geological limitation to Nene because it only lives in Hawaii. So it could be Nene, and in which case, a valuable deposit. Could be ores. Oh, and in this case, it would be oh no, which also works. Miracle on the. This looks like a river. It could be the Rhine, the Rhone, the Seine, but it's a French English victory. Perhaps it's the Seine, or it could be the Rhine. It's a bit tricky, but I'm gonna go with an uh I there. I think it might be correct. So some free advice. Some free advice. Here's a tip. Here's a tip. Maybe it is just here's a tip. So in this case, here's a tip. Miracle on the I don't think it's a river then. Miracle on the something. CERN? I don't know. Binges. Sprees. Binges as a noun, sprees. Brings in. Ropes in? No. It doesn't have the word in it, I imagine. Brings in. I don't know. Um, Instruction before an MRI to lay down or to remove all your metal things on you. Um, Maybe no food, no drinks. How's to keep going? Um, can't stop. Has to keep going. Just can't stop. To carry on. So a fix could be a spat. Uh, to fix. Maybe spay. I don't know if that's a word that you would use, but it means to like, I mean, to spay a cat, for instance. To carry on is, uh, carry on. Well, this could be a lot of things. I don't know. These words are kind of, these seem like kind of obscure definitions. I'm gonna go somewhere else. Know Your Rights campaign. I looked at the C and U and thought this could be ACLU, in which case it is. A wood finish could be wood grain. That's a finish. Instruction, lie still. That's right, lie still. To carry on is to ply. I don't know. I don't know what. I only know of ply as in 3-ply toilet paper or a ply of wood. Things like that, like thin sheets. But this could work. Things made by toddlers, and a toddler might make a scene, and director might shoot a scene. So is this not grain? Descendants of the Picts. It's not seen. Then wood finish could be a wood stain, not a wood grain. Stain could be right. Descendants of the Picts. I don't know. Someone you might like to get to know better. Um, Attenual, some you might get like to get to know better. I don't know. It's one of those sort of the long marquee entries here, which I at the moment don't know any of them. Extra was a copycat of. Um, Ape as a verb shows up somewhat often in crosswords. Aped could be the right one for this. Was a copycat of was aped. First place. First place. I would have thought this was like womb or something. Extra. Extra. I don't know. To muse aloud could be to opine. Sort of just ramble on like opinion. That's sort of the related root for that. Org whose work takes many forms. Many forms, maybe the form as in IRS. Of course, it could be other sort of bureaucrat, no, like notable bureaucratic, like especially bureaucratic organizations, probably government, but I don't know. Relaxed makes me think this is at rest. Then ropes in. No, now I'm not so sure about as is, but I like at rest a bit better than I liked as is. One of the Obamas could be Malia, could be Sasha, but the nice thing is that they both have A's here. So took in was ate. You might take in food, ingest in some way. It has 8 players as an octet, literally. Word with bird or leave. Something bird. Something leave. Don't know. To connect is to attach, and manages. Um, it might not be an S at the end. It might be a two-word phrase, and maybe the S is here. Maybe this is something to. Manages is like sees to something. You might see to something. This looks like this is Sasha then. In any case, because I know there's an S there. Then what about this? Uh, leave, leave whole bird hole. Uh, phone, leave phone leave. What could this be? Ropes in. I think this might be lassos. Then what is this? Um, Shore bird, leave shore. Oh, to leave shore. Yeah, and a shore bird. I think sort of like seagulls, for instance. I like this. I don't know if I really like at rest now, but it just happens to sort of work with everything else. Let it stand could be right. This is specifically for an editor's notes to leave a piece of like text as is without making any changes, or to like sort of undo a previous edit, you might just like this note is stet. Then what is this? Manages. Manages. I feel like this should be C's too. So if this is an E, then what is this? Relaxed. Oh, as at ease, not at rest. At ease could also be right. That's more correct. At rest is more in physics where it has zero velocity. That's right. Social activity that may involve wearing a vest is laser tag. This is a certain social game, kind of an icebreaker corporate activity. Pleasant chill in the air. Something weather, right? Sweeter weather, pleasant chill in the air. I'm pretty sure it's a W here, but let's take a look at this. Um, becomes aged in a way, maybe wizens. Then this is Aztec, so it was Aztec in the beginning. I didn't know about wizen is kind of like to get shriveled up, to get wrinkly. It doesn't mean to wisen up, I think. Wizen and wisen are different words. Wisen is with an S, and it also means becomes aged in a way. Like if you are, well, you would wisen up if you become aged, but I think wizen is also means similar, although it means more like, gets wrinkly. I could be wrong about this. I remember seeing this word because I watch a lot of Scrabble content also, and wizen is one of those words that uses a lot of heavy point tiles like the Z. So I could be wrong about it, but I think I know that's what it means. Shady dealers. I would have thought this would be like something sharks, loan sharks, but surely it's not that. What could this be? Break down while studying. To reverse engineer, perhaps? And why would that be? I suppose when you're studying, you would break down something. To go backwards, you would like, break it into parts and try to analyze what happened to reverse engineer something. To bring in is brings in. Imports something. Descendants of the Picts are the Scots. That's I think Miracle on the Marne, perhaps. Con artists. Well, surely Marne is correct. At least I know all of these words, so we're gonna go with that. To come. What is to come? Like in the future. Um, soon. Uh, I don't know. Ahead. Something's ahead. If something's ahead, it is to come. Right. Okay. Then this could be Taya, Seahorn. It could also be Rhea, but I think Taya is definitely a name. Rhea could be clued in other ways, and I think Taya might be it might be preferred to clue Taya rather than Rhea. Um, docs that deal with sensitive information. Docs, not doctors, but documents. These are NDAs. What is this? To trade for cash. To maybe it is Tia. Maybe it is Rhea. Trade for cash. So I'm just gonna leave that there for now and see what else there is. They might be made up in the spring. They might be made up. Well, S here at the end gets wise to. Gets wise to. Well, this also gives a hint why this word should not be wisens, because the word wise is in the clue here, and that's not good form in puzzles. It's not allowed generally to have repeats. X. What could an X be? Times? It's a small x, I noticed, so small x suggests it could be times. NYC-based dance group. I don't know. But let's take a look at this. Someone you might like to get to know better. Something material. Dating material? Marriage material? Is that what people say? There's an I here, which I'm somewhat confident with. But I will have to check all of these. Because none of these seem correct, honestly. Dating material, I just don't, I don't know. I don't know, but I'm going to leave it there for now because I don't have any other ideas. Is this being broadcast now? Are we live? Are we live? Question mark. Posh hotel room amenities, an S at the end, probably. First place. Oh, Eden, the first place. It's not the first place for a person necessarily, but the first place where humans in general were, at least as the story goes, is Eden. So we're going to go with that. And extra, you might ask for more. To smear is to malign. To smear is to like sort of slander someone. So I suppose you might malign them. In malign being a verb in the same way. Um, arrogant self-assurance. Must uh, it was like a. I thought it was like an ego massage. Arrogant self-assurance. Um, but in what way would this be arrogant? Like somehow the answer is like if it's a phrase, for instance, it has to be very clearly in the tone of arrogance, which I don't know. Sweater weather. Okay, I'm gonna go with that. Baylor of NBA fame, don't know. Baking sheets, etc. These are bakeware, cookware. Something ware. Because this makes me think this is Karen. I'm gonna go with Karen. One's always grinding at their jobs are baristas, right? Because they grind like coffee grounds and stuff. I suppose if this were a kind of high-end artisan cafe, then they would be starting from whole coffee beans until coffee grounds, something like that. Don't know if they're always grinding at their jobs, but I mean it's definitely the intended meaning of grind being like the corporate grind, which is nice. Arrogant self-assurance is probably swagger. Wouldn't consider it arrogant, but I can see it. Seller's shorthand for I'm willing to haggle. To be determined, maybe? To be announced? To be TBD, TBA is more of a schedule thing. TBD could be like to be determined, like I'm willing to haggle. Like this price is to be determined, maybe? Um, baking sheets, cake pans, muffin tins, for instance. I don't know. Disney character who's seen in summer. I don't know. WCs are labs, maybe. That's not the case then. Disney character scenes in summer. Oh, Olaf. I remember something like that. There was one part where he was just starting to melt or something because it was summer. I don't know. Fine linens. That's what this is. Elgin Baylor. I don't know if I heard of that. OBO. I don't know what that is, and I'm not really. I don't really have time to look to check right now what it stands for. Let's just carry on solving. To trade for cash is to redeem. So this actually is Rhea. Okay, I'll sort of talk about my strategy for this. Why I thought it was Thea. I'll come back to that later. Um, but redeem is definitely correct. To trade for cash. Then what is this? Wonder could be awe. Snow something. It might be made up in the spring. Snow. What's this? Like many working horses, but not many working dogs. They might be shoed. Having shoes. Online nickname is an online handle. So dating material could be right. At least I know this N is confirmed, but I don't know any of these other letters, so it could be wrong. Snow G something. What could that be? Crispy flaps of crust on sourdough loaves. It could be an S. Gets wise to. Gets wise to. I don't know. Not sure how to interpret this misdirection right now. Extra. Um, we had another extra thing here. I wonder if these are similar meanings, but part of me thinks that a constructor would like to have these be slightly different meanings if they're clued with the same word. So extra could mean a movie extra, like a background actor. That's definitely too many letters. Wyndham Hotel brand. Wyndham Hotel. What does Wyndham Hotel do? They're not Hilton. They're not Marriott. Um, because those are owned by, well, I think Hilton is the big franchise, or like the big company. All these are different franchises, I think. Hairstyles often associated with the 60s and 70s. S, something. Um, someone you might like to get to know better. I feel like that's right. Um, maybe it's something else ing. It might not even be that, but I feel like handle is correct. Then I'm gonna put back time here. Oh, right. Okay. Now that I know times is here, this looks right. This gets wise to could be sasses because getting wise gets wise to means like you catch on to something, like you're onto someone's tricks. But to get wise could also mean to become to like have sass, to sass someone. So sasses in this case seems to be correct. Then what is this? Well done could be brava. Um, it seems to work with everything. Extra could be in this case as overly. Then what is this? They might be made up in the spring. Made up in the spring. Snow days? but this would not be dating material, just be friend material. That's quite surprisingly wholesome. Uh, Floppy crusts of flaps of crust are at the ears. And what is this? Ramadan. This is right. Ramadan Inn, Wyndham Hotel brand. That's right. And afros, ABT. Perfect. Okay. Nice. As it happens, I have a pot that's in the other. It's in the kitchen right now, and I probably shouldn't leave it on there for too long without like being unattended. But it's on a low flame. I'm just making a curry, and it's sort of a stew essentially. It's still in the stewing phase. It's not going to stick to the bottom of the pan because I haven't put in the curry blocks yet, so there's not really any risk of that. But I would like to get back before, just in case something bad happens. I mean, I haven't heard anything in the yeah the yeah everything is quite quiet right now. I don't think there's anything going on in the kitchen, so I think I'm okay. But let's just very quickly talk about some of these words, and then I'll just be on my way. But in any case, let's take a look at these long answers. Quite nice. Sort of very how would I say this? Like there's not really I mean you're not really expected to have any coherence between these things itself. It's just quite nice when you have something that is I guess sort of a topical phrase, or you have things that are um just somehow by themselves very uh strong and memorable phrases. And in any case, like these are words I've never seen before in puzzles. And you know, when you, especially when you make themeless puzzles, people really like to have a debut entries, just essentially our word for an entry or an answer that hasn't been seen before in a puzzle in the New York Times. Things like this, friend material and sweater weather, they seem like they're very fresh words that I haven't seen before. And you know, it's always a lot better when you have that versus when you have something that's always been used. An example I can think of right now is the word meet cute, which is by itself a very fun thing. Which is there's nothing wrong with meet cute, but I don't think you would want to necessarily. Um, it's not the most ideal because it has been used quite a lot compared to other possible eight letter phrases. Um, so it's this kind of thing. While like to the average solver, it might not really be that big of a deal. If you're making puzzles, you do have that in mind that you want to avoid having the same words as something very recently, if you can, to just have your own original phrases that you're very sure would not be taken by someone else. So just things like that, considerations like that. I'm sure it doesn't actually matter too much to people, but I mean, I just want to make a note of that. That when you see these long phrases, especially, you want to be um, you want to be confident that they're not haven't been like overused. Because if your long answers, which are meant to be the most memorable, are something that people aren't that impressed by, at least if the editors aren't that impressed by it, then your puzzle might not even be accepted. So just considerations like that. I wanted to talk about my strategy for this actually, um, because sort of the strategy that I'm going by is almost a bit related to like Bayesian inference, where you have like Bayesian statistics, where you have like given you have the current data, like what is the probability that the actual correct um, answer where this was taken from was blank. I don't know. So sort of um, the idea of Bayesian inference is like if you have the data, can you predict what the actual distribution is, what the true probability of something is? Um, this is not exactly that, and I feel like my explanation is not necessarily making it clear. But if you remember, I was sort of going between two different options here. It was either TIA, THEA, or it was RHEA, RHEA. And so I'm sort of the way that I'm inferring this is if I was pretending that I was the constructor or I was writing this clue, if I was given a certain word, whether it be RHEA or TIA, how likely would it be that I clue it as a name of an actress that, to be honest, I don't think many people would have heard of? Um, at least it's not super common, right? So, what's the probability that given that answer, I would choose to go for a clue that's a slightly obscure actress? And the thing is, it's a lot more likely that would have been the case if the answer were Tia, THEA, because The word Rhea also could just be like a bird. Um, it has a separate meaning, which is less of a name and is something that I think is a bit more fair in terms of, like trying to avoid too many proper nouns. So in this case, it didn't play out in my favor. Sort of using that analysis, I sort of came to the conclusion that it would have been more likely that the clue would have been a name if it were Tia as opposed to Ria. Just because Ria, it would have been less probable to have decided to settle for a name. In this case, it didn't happen, but I feel like the strategy is still kind of sound, especially if you don't know these names, right? You kind of need to just go with like predictive methods to find the most likely answer. Because a lot of the time you are just sort of making guesses and reinforcing them by checking the letters that cross it, the crossing letters, and checking the answers there, see if you can lock in anything like that. Um, but yeah, in this case, it wasn't too much of a deal. I was wary that it possibly could have been an R rather than a T, so I did correct it properly. If I didn't have that realization, it might have taken me a bit longer, but this was a rather smooth solve. I had a lot of fun with this one. Very, very nice, fresh words here. I was very excited with. So yeah, I'm gonna go check on my food now. But yeah, that's the video.